One of the most common questions I get is, Scott, what phone should I buy? I've been covering smartphones for many years now, and my job gives me a lot of unique insight into the overall industry. Well, this year, I am answering this question much differently than usual. Usually I would talk about the phones that have just launched or the ones that are launching soon and give people advice on which one I think might be the best fit for them. But this year, I am basically saying only one thing. Don't buy any 2026 smartphone. Stay far, far away. So I'm in Los Angeles right now to cover a major new 2026 phone launch, the Motorola Razr lineup. Overall, these are great phones. The flip-style foldable form factor is a ton of fun, and Motorola has seen a lot of success so far by making them colorful, easy to use, and appealing to a very tough demographic, namely young people who are using iPhones. But there's a big problem. These phones are not much different from last year's Motorola Razr phones. When I say not much different, I mean it. The 2026 Motorola Razr Ultra has the same processor as the 2025 version. It has the same amount of RAM too, in the same body. The displays are mostly the same, with just a slight upgrade to the brightness of the inner screen and the newest Corning Gorilla Glass Ceramic 3 on the cover display. Motorola removed the 1TB option, so people who need a lot of storage space won't be able to get that anymore. The battery did get bigger, which is always welcome, but the camera lenses are all the same as last year. It's the same story for the other two phones. The Motorola Razr Plus is barely any different, with just a slightly bigger battery and a swap out of the older model's telephoto lens for an ultra-wide one. The standard Razr is the only one of the three to get a processor upgrade, and believe me, it's not a big upgrade either. Essentially, these three 2026 phones are barely different from their 2025 counterparts. But you know what is different? The prices. Each phone went up in price by at least $100, with the Razr Ultra going up by a whopping $200 to reach an introductory price of $1499. I don't know about you and how much money you've got to throw around, but in my house, $1,500 is a ton of money. That's a spend that I would need to budget for and talk about with my partner before diving in. Under normal circumstances, price increases wouldn't bother me too much. It's just the law of consumer tech. When gadgets get better, they get more expensive. The problem though is that in 2026, smartphones aren't getting much better, yet they're still going up in price. Back in February, we saw the launch of the Galaxy S26 series. Here in the United States, the standard model and the Plus model went up in price by $100 each. Granted, there were some upgrades there, including the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon processors and, for the standard model, an increase in the amount of base level storage going to 256 gigabytes at the minimum. But really, processor upgrades are just a given for flagship phones like the Galaxy S series, and the 256 gigabyte version of the Galaxy S25 started at $860 last year. So no matter how you slice that one, it's a price increase. Meanwhile, that month also saw the launch of the Google Pixel 10a. I've already talked a lot about that phone on this channel because I'm a Pixel guy, so check out what I have to say about it up here. But essentially, the Pixel 10a is barely different from the Pixel 9a, with the same processor and the same core specs. To Google's credit, they did not increase the price for the phone, but it's still emblematic of the main issue here, which is that 2026 smartphones just aren't getting the typical upgrades they usually would. Now, these are only the major phone launches we've already seen. It's not even May yet, so we still have a lot of launches to go, including the Pixel 11 series in the summer, the Galaxy Z Fold 8 and Galaxy Z Flip 8 around the same time, the iPhone 18 series in the early days of fall, and many more. So far, a lot of the rumors I've heard surrounding these launches is more of the same. Minimal upgrades, possible price increases. So the first thought you might have is why? Why is this all happening? Well, that's kind of complicated as it involves the geopolitical state of our world, manufacturing costs, economic instability, changes in consumer behavior, and a whole lot more. But if I could sum up the blame on just one thing, it would be AI. And I say that for two reasons. The first reason is that the people at the top of all these tech companies making these products think AI is everything. Essentially, hardware advancements are taking a back seat because advancements in AI are taking precedence. In some ways, this is good, as a lot of my favorite Pixel features, for example, are AI-based, and they have become essential to my daily life. But on the flip side, companies are starting to think they can solve every problem with AI, which just isn't a good idea. My smartphone's camera can be made slightly better through AI, sure, but you know what would really improve it? Improving the hardware. So this trade-off for AI isn't always the right move. The second reason AI is to blame for all these 2026 smartphone issues is because of infrastructure. Because running generative AI at scale requires massive data centers powered by literal mountains of silicon, all the resources that were once devoted to consumer tech like smartphones, laptops, smartwatches, and all that is now instead going to these data centers. This means demand has gone way up and supply has gone way down, making everything more expensive, which, of course, passes on to the consumer, like you and me. So yeah, the handful of phone launches we've seen this year with minimal upgrades and increased prices are not anomalies. This is the trend we're going to see throughout 2026. In fact, it might even go into 2027. Who knows? Where does that leave us? When someone comes up to me to ask which smartphone to buy, what am I going to say? The answer is to buy a 2025 smartphone instead. Like I was saying about the Motorola Razr lineup, the 2026 phones aren't all that different from last year's models. The Pixel 10a isn't much different from the Pixel 9a, and the Galaxy S26 lineup is also really comparable to the Galaxy S25 family. Since last year's devices can now be grabbed for steep discounts, that's where you should go. Unless you know you can get a stellar trade-in deal or some sort of carrier subsidy on a 2026 phone, don't even bother looking there. Just go for last year's phones. The one thing to watch out for here is software support. If you go with a flagship Pixel or Galaxy phone, you're good. You'll get 7 years of software support, meaning a phone that came out in 2025 will get support all the way until 2032. But in the case of Motorola's Razrs, they get software support for a much shorter window. They only get 3 years of Android upgrades, like jumping from Android 16 to Android 17, and then 5 years of security patches. In other words, a 2025 Motorola Razr will stop getting new Android versions after Android 18 in 2027, and then reach its end of life in 2030. That's a stark difference, so pay attention to the software update policies of manufacturers before making a commitment. I know how hard this can be though. Honestly, I'm part of the problem. Because my job is making YouTube videos like these surrounding the latest tech products, I feed into this machine that encourages people to lust after the latest and greatest tech. Even though my Pixel 10 Pro will be good until 2032, I'm immediately going to upgrade to the Pixel 11 Pro this year because, well, my job depends on it. But I'm here to say that 99% of people watching this don't need to do that. If you have an older phone, like a Galaxy S21 for example, upgrading to a Galaxy S25 will feel like a significant upgrade. Likewise, if you have a Pixel 6, a Pixel 10 will be a huge, huge upgrade. And if you have something from a year or two ago, you simply don't need to upgrade. Hold on to your phone for longer, as upgrading to a 2026 model will invariably mean you lose a lot of money and don't see much for it. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this, I'd love to see you more, so please like and subscribe. If this is your first time here and you want to know more about me and why I'm a Pixel guy, check out this video up here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I've talked about in this video, so I'll see you all down in the comments.